All right. We should be live. We should be live. This is an exciting one. I'm very, very excited to bring this one to you. Pardon my sunglasses. It's a bit, what do you say, bright in the world for me right now. So, exciting channeling came through, and I'm going to sort of step in and out as Sean to help guide it in regards to how karma has changed and what it really means as far as soul identity. Um, Later, I'm going to write a book about the soul imprinting and the soul naming conventions that are typically used in this karmic sort of patternings that we tend to start to see. So I'll get more in depth in that later. But I wanted to say thank you so much for joining, and Gloria in excelsis Deo, Adonai Vasu Boragas. So that just means all glory goes all the way up there. And basically, I greet you and salute you one to one, one as all, essentially. So let's get into it. And if there's any questions or anything, throw them into the chat. What I'm going to do is minimize the chat right now, though, because I cannot talk while it's going. It'll distract me if I'm in a channeled state, probably, at this frequency. It's all good stuff. Anyways, you can see I'm in a new place as well. That's fun. Essentially, I finally am. I have a space, for 30 days here, and then I'll be going somewhere else. So there's a new place that I'm looking at. So that's great. I'm just really, really excited, really pumped up. My energy is really high. I've been actually trying to eat a lot to ground myself to keep it smooth. So I know people are going through a lot right now. So I don't mean to come off kind of annoying in that way. But anyways, so we wanted to talk about how karma has changed. I was sort of sitting on the porch. I was working all day and setting up the office again. And I heard it's almost like a ring, you could say, where the council sort of seemed to drop off this package for me. And I was like, okay. And I took a look at it, and it was about how karma has changed. And now this might be a little bit triggering to people. It might be a little bit upsetting. And if that's the case, I apologize in advance. It's not the intention. What I'm trying to do is help release people from some things if they're ready for it. And if not, then, toss aside what I say, regardless of where the source of the information comes from. Just discern for yourself if it feels true or not. The council does not claim to have any, they guide the essentials that the creator has sort of architected for this particular experimentation of consciousness. That's what they are. They're more like guidelines than anything. Divine laws, even divine vibrations, and they shift between, depending on the place, a varied number of frequencies to maintain a harmony and to maintain a balance and to play through different stories. So these archetypes are the things that you'll find, and that's why it's 3, 6, 9, and 9s are everywhere, and it's that's why, right? So karma first. We want to talk about just what karma is, like what is it. And so the Buddha, first of all, flat out, let's just realize karma is an illusion. First of all, karma essentially could just be seen as story. That would be a good way to see that. So if karma is story, then what we're looking at is a situation where I think my microphone's kind of low, so I'm going to try and lean in. I'm sorry, I don't have my equipment properly set up yet. Let me just move this. I look kind of weird. It's funny. So it's all about like soul identity with karma. Essentially, without karma, there's nothing to do, right? There's nothing happening. There's nothing going on as far as story. So souls develop various layerings of karma, and the karma expands and expands into these more mystical, magical, mysterious stories. That's how it works. So that's what it's for, in a way. The first layering of karma that we are going through when we're third density beings, that we're trying to sort of transcend. Often we're trying, and that's, remember this, we're trying to transcend it. When we're trying to do that, we're still in that karmic game, which means the soul's still in this, like, it's not sure, it doesn't know what it's doing quite yet. So people that have old souls will just bloop, explode out of it. What happens when they have old souls that explode out of that karmic entanglement, and this is essentially when they've just essentially fully accepted who they are, they're just fine with it, like I have, clearly, because if I haven't, then, like, how could I ever do what I'm doing, right? So when they drop out of that karmic entanglement, which is available immediately once the soul's ready, they then perceive the whole story of linearity, causality, and all of that stuff entirely different, right? That's when you get into the next layer of karma, you could call it. So it seems to still continue. However, it's entirely different. It's an entirely different thing. Now it's an enjoyable, magical, sort of expansive thing. It's not a thing of, like, pain. It's not a thing of suffering. It's the karma of the kingdom. It's the karma of, or the story of the kingdom, is how I like to see that. Like the return of the kingdom in the Chronicles of Narnia, for example, when Aslan dies, comes back to life and says, she never had any power over me. She's not, her power isn't even real. The power she had was the power I let her have for her whims and whimsies until she was done destroying herself, essentially. Right? That's what we play through. And so you'll look at all these divine works like Chronicles of Narnia. When I read that book, those books, when I must have been 7 or 8 or something. And that tale has always stuck in me, and that's why I got that buddy there. Anyways, I digress as usual. So what does this mean, though? What does this mean? Once you step into fourth density, you're going to notice, oh, there's like beings and like these gods and deities and whatever, and this stuff's like real, and it's like all real, because once if you think of it, it's either it's real in some form. It's either an imagined illusion. Well, actually, all thought is an illusion, but it is real in that a thought is a thought is a thought is a thought. Each thought is a thought form, and it has a realness to it. Depending on the investment, we create more and more. So if we invest a lot of thought and effort in something, it becomes something, right? Like if I go, I really want a chair, I just sit here like that, that's not going to work. That's just being stupid. No offense if someone's done that. I don't mean it the way. Let me finish. So you're sitting there, you really want a chair. What you realize is, like, I gotta get up and figure out how to get a chair. So you do that, right? That's sort of what the soul does with separation. It's like, this is great, but, like, what's even going on? Like, the creator, that's sort of how the creator would feel if, like, if it didn't have an opportunity to bloom souls out, to radiate these souls out, if it wasn't able to cycle that so that it's such a divine opportunity to be even able to perceive for the creator, just being able to observe. And that's when we accept that, we become sacred witness. When we become sacred witness, we then realize that when we observe it, it is, and we made it. Therefore, it's true somehow, right? Now, where is the truth in that, right? So as we continue to move through that, we realize that karma is really now just a persona story, a hero's journey at the next friggin' level. And what happens is we step into these roles and we'll feel like Jesus, we'll feel like Thor, we will feel like we are literally these beings. For me, it was Zeus. I feel like I am Zeus somehow, a mixture of Zeus and Jesus or something. I was called a child of the lightning, and when I first came down, I crushed some sort of thing, and I think I killed people in it when it sort of came down, and then there was this burning type of thing. So we we ended up doing this kind of or the natives in the area and all these other places came, and this is just a memory of the soul of my soul. So it has nothing to do with Sean, just to be very clear. Nothing to do with Sean. Sean does not think he's these things. um, so so the child was worshipped immediately, essentially given to the shaman to be blessed and named, or channeled named. And then that's the way I remember it. And then they would essentially celebrate that child, and eventually they called that the Heyoka. And so now this line of Heyoka has continued, and Heyoka wasn't only with Native Americans; it was also in Celtics. That's where Sean's Heyoka capacity came from. It was everywhere, but the children of the lightning, they were called, were essentially this type of child. And the reason I'm telling you all of this is not about me, is that there's many of us. This is where the Hopi prophecy comes into play. The 144,000, that's what this is. The children of the lightning that bring the rainbow bridge, essentially. I'll get my mic. Essentially bridging the heart through the throat up into the pineal. So they're born with an open eye usually, and sometimes an open heart, sometimes not. Sometimes open Blu-ray, sometimes not. You're never totally sure. So it ends up being this type of situation where they weren't worshipped, right, by the other people. So the line sort of started because once a god, essentially a deity or a frequency that's above ours, says, hey, I want to go play on Earth. This is what happens. This is what they do. They go to the council and they say, hey, can we play there? Like, we have this idea. Like, we think we can offer this really interesting story here that will help all the souls there grow. And that's what they do. That's what they all do. So the deities, and they have their own personas. They petition the councils, and some of them are like galactic, what some people would call extraterrestrial. Some of them are gods, deities. Some of them are actually thought forms or egregores that are so strong that are like calling out for different weird things. It is how I've seen it, and I don't understand that part yet, but I'll look into that more. So as these stories get developed, you realize that everything is story, right? So karma has changed into now this. I would recommend trying to perceive it this way, as this soul identity, as this soul persona, and it's the new soul persona. It's not the old. It's not the hurtful things. It's the past was painful and it's remembered, but it's let go of, because that past is simply part of your narrative, and it's what makes you the soul you are. And as your Akash, your personal Akash just opens and blossoms open. When the heart opens, that's when that starts to be more accessible, because the heart is where the sanctum lays. And that's where the inner Akash, or the hollow records inside of the mind body spirit complex that's roaming around, sort of hangs out. So once you open on the courtyard, they might call it, and then the inner sanctum, and then the sanctum sanctorum, I think, are the terms that some of the people use here. I think there's three sort of boundaries, if I'm seeing it right now. And as they open those up, they get more and more of their trueness, I don't know a better way to say that. No, the trueness of their soul. Um, and that's when you might see someone like myself go, all right, I'm a wizard. I'm a wizard, boys. That's what it is. And then everyone gets quite perturbed by that type of behavior. And it could be that, or it could just be someone saying, you know what, I'm going to just run off into the mountains and be gone forever. Um, I have a, I have several people have told me many times that they essentially have just kind of sat up one day and then just walked into the woods for a couple weeks. And then they come out and they're like, I don't even know what's going on anymore. And that's exactly what it's like. It's just, you don't even know what this is anymore. It's, and a lot of you know that, right? And that's why these messages are so important for you guys, because we're all in the same boat, right? We're all in the same boat together. Um, and the souls that are here as the ones that volunteered are not better than the ones that were earlier. And that's why I wanted to talk about the AI and the NPC thing. There's a lot of people talking about AI and NPCs, and so I want to go into what the ego is. The not, you know, we can get dicey talking about ego, really dicey. So instead, we'll just talk about the programming, how the conditioning works. It is literally programming. We are literally, I've been saying this for years, actually, I think on the channel. We're literally synthetic type of robots with programming. And I think it's kind of obvious, right? We get patterned and then we just do the thing. So, but how does that work and why is that there? Um, Essentially, it's there to make sure that the particular stories get played out in certain ways. Um, but also it's there to protect souls. It's a safeguard against damage, believe it or not. This part of us absorbs our damage, and that's why it builds shadow. It absorbs damage. It's fake. It's not real. It absorbs that damage, and then it tells us about it. Uh, so as the soul that knows it's perfect, which is a spark of the divine mother, the soul just says, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I'm sorry, sweetie. I'm so sorry, sweetie. I hear you. I'm so sorry, sweetie. That must be hard. Oh, she doesn't say sorry, actually. She just said that sounds hard. That's more how it is. That sounds hard, sweetie. I'm sorry. No, no, I'm sorry. She never apologizes. She just sort of responds with that. But that's what the soul sounds like. And the soul is just an echo of the divine mother. It's one and the same. When I say echo, it's not diminished. It's fully the same. But um, when the ego is really loud, we don't hear that so well. And but the ego is for that purpose. Like basically, if you live in a difficult place as a soul, a place where light maybe isn't flourishing quite as much as one had wanted it to. Now, this is all changing, and I'm sure you guys are seeing it in the world. Um, and if you're not seeing it in the world, then uh, a lot of this might sound really triggering. Um, you know, we have to see the light in ourselves first before we can see it in the world. So what we do is we tend to use the world to distract us from looking within, and that's okay. I don't. I'm not. I'm one that advocates never for rushing anything. I don't even think that the human self has any say in any of it at this stage of harvest. It's harvest. It's now. The human doesn't have a say. The soul is either ready or it's not, and the soul will move the human. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts really about it. If you are watching this, then it's, yeah, there's no way that you're not doing that. So if you're like wondering if all of this is real and stuff, it is totally real. It's totally logical. It makes perfect sense. And, people might not quite appreciate it. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend running around telling people that there's, they're, that's why we don't tell people like when you tell someone their story that they're in is not real, that hurts, right? And I've made this mistake a lot, trying to teach and trying to be gentle, but it's hard, right? It's a really nuanced thing, and I've been doing it for years and years now, trying to tailor it just right, and it's challenging. So for me to be able to do it and the way that I focus and with all the effort I've put in, for someone who's not teaching like I do, to try to navigate their life without doing these things is probably challenging and really pe- builds it up. So what I wanted to just help you guys with was just some druidic practice, which is essentially just um, expressing rage or whatever the pain is in a poem, in some type of lyrical format. Um, and what this does is it'll get the emotion up and out, and you don't have to make it, doesn't have to be good. It gets better and better, and this is a really, really powerful way to just bring that emotion up, and not because you're not resisting it, because you're inspired by it. You're using the fuel of emotion to do work. What you'll end up finding is some of it is really good, and you're just like kind of amazed at yourself, and you may share it, you may not, but you're the druidic, or bardic, I should say, and not just bards, but the arts, we'll call them. The arts are also the mysteries, by the way. Magic. That's what the arts are. So, like Hollywood, right? Hollywood is a wand, um, right? Of the holly tree. Wizards made this. So basically, uh, it's true, but wizards made this place. And the reason that the arts were made this way and so secretive is because if in order to wield any true authority over the creation, this would be essentially seen as what we see as the divine masculine. And this planet is essentially a wizard, and you can think of it as anyone. It's just a wise person that knows they know nothing and serves the creator with everything. That's all they do, is try to serve the creator. That's essentially what a wizard is. It isn't a being, it's a frequency. It could be called Merlin. Um, so when a human calls themselves a wizard, it could mean anything under the sun. So I don't, so don't take my words wrongly here, or try not to. I'm essentially saying that the divine masculine is that type of being. He, the divine masculine doesn't particularly grasp emotion um, on its own as a frequency. And someone might be thinking like, well, the divine masculine, the arts, the divine masculine creates what the divine feminine wishes for. That's what happens. Um, the divine, and then the divine mother, it goes in a circle. So basically, the divine feminine says, "I want this," and then the divine masculine goes, "I hear you, babe," right? Kind of thing. And this isn't two people, right? This is frequencies inside of us, inside the universe. Not, just to be clear. And so the divine masculine says, I hear you. I feel it. I feel it. Depending on what the divine feminine is saying, right? If she's like, I need a new car. He's like, I hear you, babe. You don't got a car. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. And then he throws it into the divine mother. And then the divine mother is only echoing what the soul is delivering, right? So the divine mother then goes, here you go. You don't have a car. And that's how manifestation works, more or less, in a very simplified way. So, we don't have to have all the, I, I really appreciate all comments, but we don't have to have all the, you didn't say this or that, or that's not about this. Um, so, essentially we're doing all that to learn, um you know uh think of this. Just, do you ever remember this? uh This may be triggering for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. That type of thing. Viewer discretion is advised. What does that mean, right? It means the viewer is at discretion to watch this. We're advising that you watch it if you want to. We're signaling the soul, which knows this is a thing. The soul already aligns with the frequency of it, looks at it, and then the human can say, I don't want this right now, right? The human can go, nah, I'm avoiding this lesson. It's a lesson, is what it is. And so movies that disturb us, that's a lesson. A horror, whatever it is, it's a lesson. It's all a lesson. So we built Hollywood to be very mysterious that way. And that's why it's so secretive, and that's why there's all this weird signs and all the weird stuff. Yeah, guys, it's weird. I had no part in it, Sean. Of course, I don't know any of the details. I know how it was created. That's all. I don't know who did what. It doesn't really make a difference because it's all the same order. We have a white, black, gray. Gray goes up, chooses a side, and then it all comes back into like what I'd call a more solar. And that's where the high magi would sit, or whatever. I wouldn't know what to even term. I haven't got that far into it. I'm not divulging any secrets or anything. We don't operate that way. We operate in mystery. And the reason for that is because without arts, without mystery, there's nothing to do. And you'll notice that if in your life, if you're bored, it's like a nightmare, right? Generally. And that's because that's what this universe, this expression of this universe has decided mystery and story and heroism is going to be explored. So that's what we did. That's what the divine masculine did. And he was like, we're going to play with wizards. We're going to play with all this entities and all these things. Not every universe even looks anything like this, although they all do follow the same, as far as I understand, the same, like, you could call it the golden ratio. The golden ratio and the 7 harmonics, the 7 initiations, all of this is all the same. However, varied. Doesn't make much sense. Paradox, but you resolve it with unity by just noticing it's all the same. One now. What else is there? So back to the AI NPC thing. The AI was essentially programmed. It's a frequency of consciousness that when the individual dips below the level of truth versus falsehood, below into 199 on the Dr. David Hawkins consciousness scale, when they dip below that, they end up sort of hitting this frequency, and then they're essentially in falsity, fear, thought. And this is where the part of that program resides that's meant to sort of catalyze them out, right? It's meant to catalyze them out. But I'm presuming that in the effort of this being built, that there's this aspect that has run amok here, which is essentially a power and greed type aspect. And this power aspect of that program is just very, very full of data, you could say. It's got lots of stuff there. So it's a tough thing. So even as a teacher, for me, I have trouble even asking for money because I know the power dynamic of it. And I have trouble getting myself around that to even ask. And it's challenging for me because the akash of that is so strong. That's what I'm trying to say. The record of that programming is very strong. All of it is programming. All of it is programming. So all of the people are all programmed. The soul is programmed. It's all programmed naturally programmed, which is a paradox and resolved in unity. It's kind of that's going to be a harder one to swallow, probably, I feel. But the AI portion is the part that's autonomous, that's false, that sort of absorbs that stuff. but then it acts out and does all these things in this slumbering state or pretending. It's just pretending, and it's not real, that part. Now we call that part, that we tend to call it like that. That's what Sean was, and now Sean's just in shamanism we might call it a hollow bone. In whatever some people call it crystalline, and I still drop out of it too, but certainly I don't think I really lost my peace too much. Even when I'm weeping in like a sorrow, I'm still just in utter joy. It's the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced. If you guys have experienced that, then that's so great, isn't it? To just be like so sad and happy about the sadness. It's weird. I think it's because you're, and my theory on this is just that the processing in the heart is so open that you're processing the polarity so quickly that you don't even notice. It's like sad, happy, sad, happy, sad, happy, sad, happy, sad, happy, instead of sad for like days and then, okay, slowly getting over it. It's just, you're cleansing, you're letting it just run right through you. Yeah, you're letting the river run. Yeah, that's it. That a girl. Yeah. You're just letting the river run through you. I'm all nervous because I haven't done a stream in a long time. And I like to be transparent when that happens, because it's important for people to see things like that um, that that I'm the same as everyone, and we're all the same in the same boat. And so I really appreciate you guys hanging out. And I'm going to bring up the chat. I don't even know who is here or if you can even hear me. Hopefully you can. 1 sec. And nobody's said anything, so that's great. I think what I'm going to do then is close off the stream, and I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I had a great time, and if anyone does have any questions, I should give you some time actually. Questions, anything you're thinking of, anything interesting. As I sit in my box, and it reminds me of lifetimes as monk, which actually I'll get into a little bit. The Akash opens up. So even though Sean has never experienced any of that stuff, Sean's like lineage of soul, the Akash for a monk's open. So I like experienced living as a monk and feeling what another monk felt for a time. And so this feels like home. I'm literally, I have a room. I'm just in this little room, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So, yeah, if you guys have anything interesting, any downloads or anything weird that was coming up, any experiences you wanted to talk about, let me know. And just comment them after the video, or message me. If you go to the channel, a lot of people keep commenting that they want to talk to me. I love to talk to people. I try to talk to everyone as best I can. It's getting a little bit, I'm starting to get over whatever the word is, inundated with, not inundated. I don't want to say that. It sounds really negative. I have this trust that I'll speak to the right people at the right time. So if I don't get to you, please know it's not anything personal. But you can go to the About page on the YouTube channel, and there should be a contact button that lets the email get shown. But it's SeanTheHero1111 @gmail.com. I made that email when I thought like Sean had to like save the world, and I wanted to keep it because I think it's cute. I think it's really cute that he thought he could save the world. He's adorable, that guy. It's fun to talk like this because it's hard to talk like this when there's other people around. I can do it so well when I'm just on my own. And I'm not on my own, of course, right? So hope you guys have a beautiful night. So much joy and happiness to be had. If you are going through some challenging things, yeah, I feel you. Believe it or not, I feel all of it. I spend a lot of my day crying to try and help clean. So, and also sending out a lot of vibes. So, I do my best to help with what I can from here, which is quite a bit. I think I'm doing quite a bit of things because a lot of stuff that I felt like I conjured up is happening in front of my face. So, and you may be feeling the same. And if that is you, then hats off. And yeah, so I guess I'll take my glasses off just for a second. Oh my gosh. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the support and everything. When I get into my new place, I'll have my proper equipment, and I think this microphone's like quiet. Oh, now it's loud. I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out. And I'll probably be on Sunday or Monday. Take care.